All right, now it makes sense.
So, but here's Dorothy. She's obviously an older lady in this picture. I don't know exactly what the time stamp is on it, but what do y'all remember about her? What kind of person was she? What was her demeanor or her way she carried herself?
She was a real sweet person. And it never was the same after she passed away. Of course, it never is, I don't guess, when the wife passed away first, because she would have Christmas every year. That one of the best Christmas I remember when I was little is we met all of our cousins and everything over at Grandma and Grandpa's. And the people come in from Missouri, Uncle Shorty and Helen and all of them. And Helen was grown, and so was Denzel, Uncle Bird's daughter. But they was all there. But Grandpa would put paper on the living room floor in front of the fireplace, spread it way out, and he'd have all kinds of fruit and candy and nuts and stuff on this. He'd pour it out there. And let all us little kids get there, sit down there and eat whatever we wanted. But you couldn't get up with anything in your hands. I mean, he made us sit there, and when we got through, we got up.
So he didn't want any messes.
Right. But Daddy took us over there that day in a wagon, and we had blankets and quilts and stuff in the back, and we'd sing that song over the river and through the woods, because we had to go through some woods to get there. Daddy always did a shortcut. And the grown ones, I remember them arguing about how they made the pies and helped make the pies, and how they made the pie crust, and I remember all that. But that was really a fun time. We was all, and we usually all had a good time together. And then Uncle Jake's kids and all them come over.
They were living in the cabin.
From the old cabin, yeah.
And how old were you at this Christmas?
We lived at Miss Julie's. How old was you? You
I don't
remember
know.
going
I was
over there? Well, you remember
that's the
going
only time
over
I remember seeing Grandma was that Christmas. But I don't know how old I was, so I must have been young, because that's the only time I remember seeing her.
But her kitchen was great, big kitchen. She had one of the pretty old stoves that keeps stuff warm at the top after you cook it. And it had a great big water tank on the end. And when you got ready to wash your dishes, you just dipped water out of that. That water stayed hot all the time. She had a great big long table in the kitchen, and then she had a dining room over there.
On this house?
Yeah. They had...
So the kitchen and the dining room were one room or separate rooms?
No, it's separate rooms. This house, when you come in, they have steps where she's standing. You come in there, and there was a living room on the left. What did they call them back then?
Parlors?
Parlors, on the left. A great big one. She had one of them big old nice organs and all kinds of pretty tables and stuff in there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so were they rich? It sounds like they were rich.
Well, they had good stuff until we tore it up. The kids started playing with it when we was over there.
Yeah.
Not while she was living.
Well, no, you didn't hardly. She'd take us in there and show us that pretty stuff sometimes, but we didn't play in there or nothing. We played outside.
Yeah.
And then to the right, the bedroom had a fireplace in it.
No, it's Chris.
Oh, had a fireplace in it, and then you go in out of that room. That should have been the living room, but we used it as a bedroom and a living room. Grandpa and Grandma did, and they had two big beds in there. And then you go into the dining room, and then out of the dining room into the kitchen, and then out on another porch. But it was a big house.
Was it?
There wasn't no upstairs or nothing, but...
So it's just one level? Okay.
Well,
what about the bathroom?
There's no bathroom.
It was outside.
Outhouse.
How far was the outhouse?
Okay.
Well, it was a pretty good little piece.
Yeah, it was
You
Yeah.
went outside in the
Okay.
yard, and then you went out in
Alrighty.
a field that had a big oak tree out there.
Alright.
And then they had the chicken house
Okay.
on the right. And then the best I remember, the outhouse was right in front of the chicken house, kind of. I mean, at the end of the chicken house, you had. Then there was a big tobacco barn on up the hill past the garden. There was a big garden out there,
Uh-huh.
and big tobacco barn
Okay.
up there.
Uh-huh.
And then the other barn and lot was out the L porch. But it had a big L porch, and then this big porch across the front, and then another little porch on the back. Then the cistern was at the end of that. I don't know why we don't have any pictures of any of that stuff that I know
We
of.
didn't have no camera.
Oh, I guess that's the reason we didn't have no pictures.
Yeah.
So how many bedrooms were in that house? One big one?
One big one.
One big one
One
for
big
Grandma
one,
and Grandpa.
And they used this part of the dining room. It was a big room, and the table was over at the side. And then she had this big table in the kitchen. We ate in the kitchen most of the time. But I guess we had to use both tables when they was all there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you guys came over, did you all sleep on the floor? Or, I mean, just all crowd in the...
We didn't stay the night. Not the time I remember.
No,
we didn't.
no, we didn't stay the night. We went back to Painterville.